Hello and welcome to this week's interview. We've got Steve Guest here, author of the book Top Biller. I don't know if you can see that. Steve, just for anyone who doesn't know you or know of you, can you give sort of the brief, introduction to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Steve Guest. I have recruited the commercial construction market for the last 14 years. More recently, I've built 2 regions for a company, 19 staff, had a 7 million turnover last year. And then September last year, I've gone on my own.
When you say gone on your own, what do you mean by that? You sold your business?
Yeah. So I've been self-employed since 2011, but I've contracted to a company called Fast Track, where I opened their Birmingham office and their Manchester office and built their business up. My wife worked through a limited company in the background. She's a recruiter as well, and she's done that for longer than I have, about 15 years. Mm-hmm. And I took the decision last year that I was going to go and work with her, and we were going to go after new clients, new business, and just a bit of a change of direction. And then you get the work-life balance as well, so we can look after our two little boys.
Yeah.
And just follow a different path, really.
Excellent. So in terms of what you do now, how do you describe what you actually do now, Steve?
So as a business, so for me specifically, I do commercial construction recruitment, same as I've always done. So I recruit for anything from graduates, surveyors, estimators, buyers, planners, right the way through to director level positions, and I deal with general construction contractors. Mm-hmm. So that can be specialist subcontractors, right the way through to global PLC businesses. Mm-hmm. My wife looks after and specialises in local businesses, so we see it as an extension of their brand. She will go into a business and she'll recruit for anything from a receptionist or PA right through to a director for a business where she can dedicate all of her time to go and find the right people for that company. Mm-hmm. So as a pairing, we offer pretty much a one-stop shop for any level or role, because we get to know the business so well.
Right. Excellent.
How did you get into recruitment in the first place? What was your sort of path into the industry?
If I'm honest, I started off as a strategic commodity buyer. So I worked for Severn Trent Water, negotiating multi-million-pound contracts. And at the time, my wife was doing maintenance trades recruitment for Hayes. She was doing very well. I was negotiating deals with contracts, getting a pat on the back of my next contract, and sat there watching Emma's earnings, thinking I could do the same. So I went off to Hayes Purchasing and Supply, interviewed there. First interview went really well. Thought I'd got the job. Second interview, the feedback was I wasn't quite what they were looking for. Wasn't salesy enough. Wasn't the type of person that would fit in with their team. So crossed the road to Hayes Construction and Property and said, take me on and I'll prove them wrong. And that was basically my introduction to getting into recruitment.
Wow. Yeah.
It was the motivator that really got me kind of going.
And how long ago was that, Steve?
That was 2006. And if I'm honest, that's where the book was born out of in many ways, because the initial dealings for me into recruitment was rejection, and then it was the motivation to actually get me to being a top performer. The book is about my 13, 14 years of recruiting, but actually coming from a strategic commodity buying background and not a sales profession. Mm-hmm. It was about following a set process and delivering on that, as opposed to going out there and perhaps almost being that bravado sales, because I've never been that. To many degree, I'm almost borderline OCD. Everything's got its place, everything's got its process, and I go out there and deliver on it.
Awesome. So yeah, the reason we brought you on, I kept seeing this book around on social media. I think, to be fair, I just want to say the marketing that you've done for the book has been brilliant. Like I've just seen it everywhere. I think it's on its way, if not already, to being an Amazon, #1 bestseller. I've already got it.
Yeah.
I think last time it was what top 6 on one of the things. So getting there. I think if you go to Amazon, get it now, push it over the line. But yeah, so first of all, well done on the marketing. I think it's been really good. But what's sort of your motivation for writing the book in the first place?
Okay, so I started the book about 18 months ago. And the idea was that I was looking to go a different direction in my recruitment journey. So I felt or saw the book as making or allowing me to differentiate from the rest of the market. There's not many recruitment books out there. There's not many recruitment consultants that have wrote books. So my thought process was, if I'm going to go and stand alone and remove myself from perhaps a bigger brand, I want something that makes me stand out and be different. So the book is about me being different anyway, but actually publishing the book, you then become the recruitment consultant that's wrote the book. So the impact of having wrote that is I've got clients and candidates contacting me. And sometimes that can be on the basis that you're the guy that wrote the book.
Yeah.
And it's a different conversation to have. And it's not me having to cold call or ring someone to say, are you looking for a new role, or are you looking to recruit someone? It's, you're the guy that wrote the book. Why did you do that? What was your motivations? And that allows me to follow up with, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
It's almost a softer approach.
Brilliant. So it's more initially more from a positioning point of view. You
Definitely.
Want to sort of separate yourself from the crowd.
I mean, I do a lot of networking, and I do a lot of kind of group conversations with mentors and people that actively promote and talk positively and push you to becoming that next level person. And a lot of the people that I mix with are either writing a book, have published a book, have wrote a book and got themselves out there. And it creates that personal brand. I went to a meeting beginning of last year with a guy called Daniel Priestley.
Yeah, I know Daniel.
Yeah, and he's got a book called The Key Person of Influence.
Yeah.
And that again motivated me in the fact that if I'm going to go and stand alone and I've got to create something where people want to ring Steve Guest because he's that guy that you go to when you need someone, this was another kind of feather in the bow that says, he's got that book. This is how he became a top performer. We've read it. We know him. We feel like we're in touch with who he is. We want him to deal with our recruitment.
Excellent. So I mean, a couple of the questions there. You do work with mentors. Who is your favourite mentor for you on a personal level?
If I'm honest, I've got mentors for different things. So from a general kind of, I suppose the word just everyday life, it's all the normal people that you'd hear. So I read a lot. I read probably 2 to 3 books a month.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be all from all different facets of life. So I've just read Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. Mm-hmm. It's a great book on negotiation. People like Darren Hardy. Darren Hardy was a big influence, The Compound Effect. I used to buy The Compound Effect for all my consultants because I'm a firm believer that you make that small difference every day. And over the 12 months, the compound effect of that, whatever you're looking to do, is massive. Yeah. So you target yourself 20 calls a day, and I'm saying do 21. That extra call every day over a year puts you almost a week, 2 weeks ahead of your competition.
Yeah. Do you know a book called Atomic Habits?
I've just started it yesterday.
Right.
I've just started it. Yeah.
Very similar concept, actually.
Correct. Yeah. I've actually put a post out today on LinkedIn, promoting the Never Split the Difference and saying this week's book is Atomic Habits. So Tony Robbins is another good one. Yeah. On the property side of things, so I do a lot of networking with the likes of Rob Moore and Mark Homer over at Progressive Property in Peterborough. Mm-hmm. So they've wrote numerous books amongst them. Again, they're one of the or two of the individuals that are behind the getting the book out there and published. Trying to think which other books. Gary V.
Yeah.
An obvious one.
Yeah.
And then just people that you spend time with. I think mentors are around you all the time. I think it's just important to make sure you have those people that pushes you to another level.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting listening to your titles, and I know Drew will agree. You've virtually read all the same books that we've read, same authors, Rob Moore,
Yeah,
Darren Hardy.
yeah. You've got the Grant Cardone one behind you.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss. Yeah, and we've also written 4 books ourselves. So
okay, fantastic.
Yeah, some of our books are there as well. So yeah,
I think it just takes you down that line. Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
There's some great books, and I think if you actually just apply your mind. So writing that book, it took 18 months. There was a 6-month gap in there. But to get that done, I had to get up and be in the office for 5:30 every day in the morning. It gave me an hour to write a chapter or answer a question. It then allowed me the hour to set up my day before my day started, and the consultants would start kind of drifting in. But to get it done, you have to kind of put yourself out there.
That's right.
And if you don't do it, you'll never get it done.
That's right.
And without reading those books, I'd have never got it done.
Yeah. Well done. That's fantastic. Yeah. That's fantastic. See, I've got a confession to make. I haven't read your book.
You've missed out.
Sorry?
You've missed out.
Yeah, don't you what I will. Don't you where I will. But if you were to summarise your book, what's it about and who's it for?
Okay, so I think primarily the book will be very good for people starting out in recruitment, people early on in their journey that need a process or a map to get through Monday to Friday and know that they're doing the right things. It's a book that champions you don't have to be loud, brash and salesy to be a good recruitment consultant. Following a set process, being honest, ethical, and going out and fulfilling what you say you're going to do will generally outclass the masses within recruitment anyway. It's about delivering on service. One of my big bugbears in the industry is it's become so heavily laden with KPIs, which I know are useful and there is a need for them. But they're so heavy on KPIs that actually the service delivery starts to ebb away, and people become more interested in hitting a tick box on a whiteboard than actually finding a really good candidate for a really good client. And I know there's got to be somewhere in the middle, but the book will say there's a place for KPIs and important KPIs, and use them to your advantage. Don't get swept away by them. There's some really good tips and tricks that I've learned over the 14 years that have helped me, ways of marketing, ways to stay motivated. Those days where you come in on a Monday and everything's fell apart, you guys haven't turned up or your placements have fell out. It's those ones where you kind of got to give yourself a kick up the backside and get yourself motivated again.
Yeah. So, talk to me about that part in particular. So, we were talking about this very subject this week with some of our clients. When you run a business, things go wrong. It's almost inevitable that, it's not going to be plain sailing, things are going to go wrong. When things go wrong for you, how do you sort of deal with it? How do you pick yourself up to, keep going?
Yeah. I think it's one of them things that never goes away as a recruitment consultant. And whether you've been doing it 6 weeks, 6 years, or as me, 14 years, it still hits you hard because you put so much effort into somebody getting that placement or finding their role on that Monday. It is always a Monday when they fall apart. I don't know why it is. It just starts your week off nice. For me, it's still frustrating, and yes, it still hurts. But I've become very quick at either wiping it off my board, getting it out of my head. If it's gone, it's gone. Sometimes I'll have a walk around the block, get some fresh air, come back, sit down, you start again. I'm not one to dwell. I'm not one to sit there and get frustrated by it. because it's part of the process. I do a bit of stock and FX trading in the background. And one of my early trainings in those days was it's one trade in 1,000, because you can't get hung up on one specific trade making you a fortune. And recruitment, in a way, it's the same mentality. You're going through a 12-month period to continue to place people. They're not all going to work. We're human at the end of the day, and we're very random. So you just have to see it as one placement in 1,000 that hasn't worked. And whilst it's not pleasant and it's not nice and it's frustrating, it's part of the role.
Yeah. And is that what if you were managing a team of, or a consultant, and they just had that, we call it the shitty day. That's the conversation you're going to be having with a consultant.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Shit happens.
Yeah. In my experience, in the early days as a consultant, if I've placed someone in a permanent role, that fee stays on that board. If they don't work out and they're not happening, they've been counter-offered or they've just rejected it, that offer stayed on my board. And every morning you look at it thinking, look what could have happened. Look at what my total could have been. I've already spent that commission. And it would stay there, and you'd get more frustrated as the week went on. And I think I just learned over time that you just wipe it off. The moment it's gone off that board, it's history.
Yeah.
And you start looking at it again and thinking, actually, I need to motivate myself now because that board's empty again. And it's a bit of a mind shift of just get rid of the clutter. If it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Move on and start filling the board up again. Yeah,
yeah. And it's funny, Drew and I, we talk to recruitment business owners every day of the week, and we ask them about their figures and how they're doing. And they will always talk about the deals that got away. So they'll say, "Oh, last quarter was crap." But if those two deals had gone through,
The losses always hurt more.
Yeah.
You never talk about the deal that fell away 6 months ago and then suddenly landed back on the table. It went in and everything's forgotten.
Yeah.
It's the big deals that fall out, always.
That's right, yeah. So when you're recruiting, and we'll come back to the book in a minute, but what's the sort of average salary that your experience, what's your street?
I would say it's differed. Last year, out of the 14 years, has been the most difficult. It was very stop-start last year, and it tended to be more project-level type roles. So you're talking 30 to 45k as a rough guide on salary. I will deal with salaries anything really from about 16 up to in the 90s. I would say as a rough range. Yeah. Because I'm dealing with construction contractors, the construction industry is very candidate led. So I can go out and get vacancies all day long at any level really. It's finding the good candidates. That's the difficult bit. There's not enough candidates to fill all the roles. Last year, as I say, was very strange because it was so stop-start. This year has started with far more confidence. But I would say probably quite a few people left the industry last year, either through retirement or just frustration. And that's been an ongoing effect really since 2008. At which case the wage rises will continue to go up because they'll need to pay more to attract the talent. Yeah.
So going back to your...
Sorry, Dave, just a question on just recruiters in general. You've been in industry, you've got 14 years, you've probably in that time, seen recruiters do really well, some that don't do as well. In your opinion, what sort of the main differences between the two? One that excels and one that falls by the wayside.
In my experience, it's the consultant that doesn't put enough effort in the first 6 months.
Yeah,
you can see it. So somebody starts on day one and they just go at it, and you give them the KPIs and they smash the KPIs every day. They are constantly on the phone. They are talking to everyone and anyone. They're out there doing what they need to do. The weekend, they're taking photographs of sites or companies or vans and sending it in, or just doing the graft. And there's nothing that will stop them. Those are the people that will continue to go on and excel. The people that will do enough to get by are the people that generally will start moving around 12 months, 2 years in. So for me, over my experience, you can see straight away who's going to excel and who's going to be the one that perhaps moves on in 12 months.
Yeah.
It's always that defining, it's that defining introduction. And it's that ability to remove themselves from any emotional sentiment when something does go wrong as well. I've always said you almost need the skin of a rhinoceros to do this job, in the fact that you get rejected 90% of the week, certainly at the start.
Yeah.
And even when you've got rejected, you could be getting grief from your manager, you're not hitting your targets, your fees just fell out, your clients don't want to speak to you, your candidates don't return your calls, and you sat there thinking, why am I sat here doing this? And it's the people that get past that element to start building the relationships that the candidates do start answering the calls, the clients ring you back, return your emails, and then it becomes that little bit easier. But sometimes people don't want to get past that point. And it is tough. It's not an easy vocation. And I think there's a certain type of person that will always succeed, and there's a certain type that won't.
So you've talked of two qualities there, resilience and prepared to roll the sleeves up and do the work. The two traits that, anything else?
I think you have to have that ability to adapt to the individual that's sat in front of you. So I've worked in offices where we've done everything from general labourers right the way through to corporate directors, and the ability to be able to switch between the audience, whether that be candidate or client, also enables the growth of you as an individual. And I think it's just having that, almost that commercial awareness to adapt and see the opportunity.
So, I think going back to your point about resilience, I think one of the problems that I see, it's not just unique to recruitment, but in life in general, is that people want that instant gratification for the work they're doing. And just, unfortunately, in whether it's recruitment or in business or whatever, in health and fitness, very rare that you get that. It's very rare that you get that instant win. It's often a result of consistent activity over a period of time. I think sometimes you can lose sight of that. But it's just, I think it's a really good point about that resilience rolling your sleeves up.
So. I've got an example there. I've got a client that I chased for about 8 years. I phoned, left messages. I would randomly turn up in reception to see if they're about, and I never got anywhere.
Can I just interrupt and say, that's stalking, and it's frowned upon.
It is. I never got... It never went to court. But after the 8 years, I actually wrote a handwritten letter, and that's the only response I got, and now they're a really good client. And it was the resilience that kept me going. I don't know whether they purposely kept me waiting for 8 years, or whether it was just the different tact of marketing. But many people would have given up on that client years ago. And for me, because it's very much a process, it's once a month I'll call you, check in, see how things are going, and if there's a requirement, I'll work on it. But rest assured, I'm not going to hassle you. It's going through that process religiously. For me, anyway, it works. I know for a lot of people that wouldn't. But I've now got a very good client, but it did take 8 years.
So, what did you say?
And a restraining order. Sorry.
What did you? So I'm really interested in the the letter element. Like two things. One, it's handwritten, which is great. But two, I mean, most people think when it comes to direct mail, that it's outdated and doesn't work. Whereas you spent 8 years grafting, and it could have been a result of that 8 years, but this is actually the letter that got you over the line. So I'm just curious, what was said? Well, two things actually. One, what made you send the letter in the first place? Because I'm sure you tried everything else before that point. But two, what was said in the letter? I think
it was that. It was the fact I'd tried everything, and I think I'd had a conversation where somebody had said, "You get that many emails these days that nobody properly reads them. They'll skim through them. They'll get moved into a folder in the inbox, and the phone calls weren't getting anywhere. I wasn't getting past the gatekeeper." There was no direct number. There was no mobile that I could try. It was really the only option that was left. I think after that, I was going to stick Post-it notes on the front door, see if that would work. But my view at the moment is exactly that. I think handwritten letters could be something that could well come back because it's personal, and we almost lack that personal interaction a lot more these days. And it's trying to differentiate what everybody else is doing to make you stand out. Yeah.
A couple of things with that, Steve. First of all, you won't know this, but Drew can't write. His handwriting is atrocious, so that never work for Drew. I want to make that point first of all. On a serious note, it's Drew rightly said, and a lot of people don't know this. The opening rates for direct mail are about 4 or 5 times that of emails.
Yeah.
And I know when we work with clients initially, one of the part of the market, what we do is we work with the recruitment and search firm owners, and we share with them how to generate leads. And one of the processes is actually using direct mail. And almost universally, they go, "What? Letters?"
Yeah.
And our mantra is just test it and see for yourself. Yeah. But it always works.
There's definitely an angle. I think the best marketing at the moment is Facebook Messenger, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of got one of the best open rates of
Messenger in general.
Yeah, and that's, albeit it's very similar to the email method. It's personal and it's direct to, and you're almost putting 2 faces together, aren't you, through Facebook Messenger?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing some great results with that. As long as it's done properly, 'cause for a lot of recruiters, hey, I'm a great recruiter, can we have your business? That doesn't tend to work, but using the right process, it does. It works very well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent.
I think you've got to have an element of patience with it.
Yeah.
When you entered the industry 14 years ago, it would have been, I guess, but tell me if I'm wrong, it would have all been out picking up the phone and cold calling and making those calls.
Yeah.
Has that changed much over the years for you, do you think, Steve?
It's only changed because I'm still working with the same clients. So in essence, the core of my client base I've known for 14 years, since the first cold call. But it hasn't changed. So this morning I've spoken with 5 or 6 new businesses today, and I've registered their interest, and I've got a couple of vacancies. So it never goes away. I think the stat is you lose 25% of your business or 20% of your business per year through just natural changes. So you've got to find a way of replacing that yearly anyway. And for me, I made a comment on LinkedIn the other day. People feel that cold calling is going out and nobody should do it. There's better ways, there's better methods to work, but I love cold calling. I don't see any problem with it. If it's done well and it's done right and it's done in a way that builds immediate relationships, it's effective.
And
yeah, I think it is effective. I'm probably in the school of thought that although it is effective and still does work, it's getting less effective. For me, I'm not against using the phone. I think use the phone is brilliant, but I think the only difference between like a cold call and like a warm call is the preparation you do before.
Yeah.
So do something before you pick up the phone to make sure give yourself the best chance of the client picking up. So you the letter, like send the letter before you ring them. Reference the letter. It's just sort of like it just makes it 10 times easier. But it's 100% a method that still works.
I mean, perhaps I think back now. I've got lots of experience in the market in the sector that I work in, so I can cold call a contractor, and I know exactly what I do, who I market, who my client and candidate base are. So there's no way or no reason that client can trip me up. If I was starting again now, maybe it would be a different story.
And do you even if you're ringing a client out of the blues, are you sort of well known in your industry?
Generally, I have relationships with clients where they will ring me for opinions on candidates I haven't necessarily put forward. They know that I know my market very well. I've obviously placed over those years a lot of people that were graduates 14 years ago, and they're now commercial directors and commercial managers now. And I've seen them through their career path to then become candidate to client. and they can run large-scale operations, projects, divisions within big companies.
Yeah.
And there's not many competitors that have stuck doing what I do for as long.
Sorry, say that again, Steve. Sorry.
There's not many recruitment consultants out there that have consultants that have consistently worked the same desk as long as I have. So it puts you steps ahead. I mean, the average turnover of recruitment consultant, as far as I've read, is 6 months.
Yeah.
So for a client using a consultant that changes every 6 months, or do you go to the guy that's done it for 14 years that actually can tell you whether you're seeing a good candidate or not before you've even seen them?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And that's where you add serious value to any business.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point. If we look forward now, what's your opinion? What's going to happen in the future in terms of the industry overall, not just your niche, but overall?
I think now the election's gone through in December. My view is that it's a little bit more certain, or the uncertainty is a bit more certain, if that's a sentence.
Yeah.
I'm confident. I'm looking forward to certainly this year and seeing where it goes and where we take it. From a recruitment industry, I think it's ripe for disruption. I think there's elements out there that could make us all better and more efficient. I don't know what that will be. I think most other sectors have had some sort of disruption, whether that be in banking or just general social media advertising, all of those areas that had people come in. Recruitment hasn't. Recruitment has stayed very much as it is. And I think there must be something out there that can make it a bit more seamless.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if something along those lines pops up over the next months or years. Yeah.
Yeah. I get the impression, as far as you're concerned, Steve, like recruitment's in your blood.
It is. I think I enjoy it. I love finding people that special role and that role that changes their career path. You can't fail to get excited by finding people the position that they want and finding clients the candidate that they wanted. I think for me, it's one of those job roles where it does wear you down at times. It is tough. It is difficult. But you've got to enjoy it. I think you'd get slightly insane if you didn't. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So last question, last couple of questions, Steve. One, we sort of asked about, what you think makes a good recruitment consultant, and you talked about the first 6 months in a role.
Yeah.
So I wanted to sort of ask another question around, for anyone listening to this who's thinking of bringing consultants into their business now, how do you sort of spot that before you employ them, or can you?
It's a really difficult one. I've interviewed a lot of consultants and I've recruited a lot of consultants over the years. And it's really difficult because you can sit in front of a consultant that perhaps hasn't done as well as they should have done in their current role or previous role. And you can view it as it's the wrong fit, it's the wrong office, it wasn't the right environment, it was the wrong desk. But they've got the personality and the ability to go on and achieve. And then I've sat in front of very confident, high-flying, top-billing performers, and you can err on the side that they're going to be really good for 12 months, 2 years, and then outgrow where you are and need to move on again. For me, I always went on personality. I wanted ethical, honest, hard-working people that had a motivation. Whether that be, I want to go on nice holidays, nice car, I want to buy my first house, I'm getting married next year, all these various things, for me, give them that ultimate why.
Yeah.
This is why I want to do it, because I want to achieve X. If I can get that out of somebody in an interview and they sit there and you see all that you see that kind of steely-eyed look where
Yeah.
I am not going to fail because I need to do this, and this. That's the bit that I want. And if they convince me that that why is strong enough that actually whatever I throw at them, they're going to do it anyway, that's when I'm sold. So there's no right or wrong answer. I've taken people on where they've got a why and it hasn't been strong enough and they haven't succeeded. But that's generally been the bit that I look for that says, yeah, that is that person I want to take on.
Mm.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point there, Steve. I agree with you 100%. It is having that strong, compelling why they want to achieve.
Yeah.
And we find exactly the same with our clients when they've got this. You something really that steely look in their eyes, and they go, no.
Yeah. But it's quite rare.
Yeah.
It's quite rare because you're interviewing salespeople. They're generally good at talking. They're generally good at saying the bits that you want to hear.
Mm.
And trying to choose between someone that's actually just good at interviews and good at talking to that person that genuinely just wants to achieve and wants to be in the right environment with the right person that's going to make them go up a few levels. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. So then, the final question. You know, if you know, a recruitment business owner or even a consultant, I guess, is listening to this now. Well, let's do both actually. If a recruitment business owner is listening to this now, you know, what's the sort of one piece of advice that you'd like to give them so they can take away and sort of get real value from this interview?
To be honest, it's what we've just discussed. Recruitment business owner, recruitment consultant, trainee to managing consultant. If you haven't got that driving factor, I would say this job isn't going to work. Because it's so full of rejection, because it's so difficult at the best of times, you need that element of self-motivation that gets you up every morning that says, I'm going to go and do this no matter what.
Mm.
Yeah.
And for me, that is exactly what makes me do what I do, because I hold such high levels of expectation and I want to go so far that if I didn't get up every morning to do this, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Mm. Interesting.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Excellent. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Brilliant. Again, one final sort of push for your book. Again, if you haven't already read it, head over to Amazon, get Top Biller. Steve Guest. It's, again, I haven't read it all. Flip through it. It's a good book, some good insights in there. I mean, you just heard the interview as well. So if you enjoyed the interview, then obviously the book's even better. But Steve, other than that, is it okay for our listeners to connect with you on LinkedIn, Facebook?
Of course it is. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, as I say, at the moment, I'm fielding lots of questions and people buying the book and sending me their motivations. It's been really good, to be fair. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've literally seen it everywhere. Like that's why I messaged you on it. I think it was Instagram. It was just like I've literally seen this book. People holding pictures of it before I need to get on.
Good.
But yeah, also really good marketing again.
The best bit of all of it is I'm not marketing it that much anymore.
Yeah. No,
and that's where I wanted to get to, because I didn't want to get to a point where I was annoying people. I keep saying, buy my book. Now I'm getting the people that are reading it to market it. So,
yeah, and just on that, a couple of things you said, that's really interesting. Anybody in the recruitment business can learn from this, because the techniques you're using is exactly what we advocate with our clients, you know.
Yeah.
And there's some things you can do so your hiring manager comes to you and you're actually doing it. It was interesting you mentioned Daniel Priestley in his book Keepers of Influence, because again it's the same techniques, isn't it? So, you know, having that micro niche and getting that message out there. So I agree with Drew. You've done a fantastic job, and keep it up in terms of your questions. There's lessons there for everyone. Brilliant.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Not at all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Steve.
This is Drew and Terry Edwards from MakeMorePlacements.com. If you're a recruitment or search business owner and you want to grow your business, head over to MakeMorePlacements.com/apply. There's a short letter over there that talks about how we can help. Head over to there, and if it's something you're interested in, then reach out to us. So that's MakeMorePlacements.com/apply.
Excellent. Until next time, guys, take care, take action, and be relentless.